Okay.
And we are good to go. And
Having fun. Where did that music come from? It's kind of cool.
Yeah, very funky.
That's our beginning?
should be.
Wow.
I thought I was supposed to be talking.
No, you're not supposed to go, welcome to Mediation Talk. It's okay. It's been a while, guys.
Yeah, okay,
Dusting off the
It's
cobwebs.
okay. We're just dusting off the cobwebs of our computer equipment.
Here's the correct intro.
That's
Hello,
you.
audience. It's time for Mediation Talk.
I was on the wrong side.
Mediation
Hey.
Talk is edutainment meant to teach you in a fun and exciting way about the effects of mediation in lieu of litigation and avoiding those expensive legal fees. Mediation Talk offers an amicable and economical approach to all conflict issues. Now, let's take the emotion out of the commotion with your hosts, Michael and Diann.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mediation Talk, where we try to take the emotion out of the commotion with mediation. And we've had a little bit of emotion this week, and we'll talk about that, but we're dealing with it, and we're resolving conflict on a daily basis. So anyhow, it's been a while since we've been together, Michael.
It's been
and
months.
Also, I have my great co-host and producer today, Michael Irish. How are you, Michael? Lawyer.
I mean,
Michael Irish.
I could be better. I mean, I've got all kinds, as we discussed pre-show, I've got all kinds of agitation issues right now.
Yeah.
But we're here. We're about to do the show.
He was
We're
pretty
doing the
miserable
show.
for a little bit.
We're
He
doing the
was-
show. Well,
did.
the users can't tell that I've got a massive brace on my left leg because I tore my MCL over the weekend.
And,
So
and doing what?
playing ice hockey. So I've been hobbling around, setting up our equipment here, but I will survive.
And I also have to say that we have a very, very unique show today.
On
It's-
location.
We're on location, as you could tell. We are in Scottsdale at the Legacy Comfort Homes. And you're going to say, why are you there? And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, Diane, why are we here?
Why are we here? And I won't cry. I have my glasses on. I won't cry. But we placed my husband Bill here this week. And so, in doing such, I have done so much investigation and so much research on living assistant places, in-home care, independent living, Hospice of the Valley. We've been everywhere. And for
You
some...
were even at one facility that you removed him from that they could potentially be an asshole of the week.
Well,
down
they
the
were
line.
our asshole and we're suing them. But anyhow, we won't talk about them because we're on the air and they were our asshole for
Why
a
are
while.
you suing them? Mediation is the answer.
Yeah, mediation is the answer. Right now.
Come on, Diane.
Right now it's aggravation. Okay. We're not going to talk about them because I'm so angry because I need to have... I need to take that emotion out of the commotion myself right now. And that's why I have you. And I always said, just call Michael. Right. So anyhow, you're right. But in doing so and getting him here with all the help, I had an angel appear to me. Seriously. And he's sitting right here with us. And Andereya Bibautsuhoze. Did I screw it up?
So for everyone at home, the spelling will
You're
be
not the
right.
only
The
one,
spelling
don't
will be
worry.
right here on the screen, but that was how she pronounced it. Why don't you tell us how you actually say your name?
Okay, so my name is Andereya Bibautsuhoze, and yeah, I'm happy to be here with both of you two. Can't say we could have picked a better day. Only in Arizona can it be 80 degrees in the middle of November.
Does he sound like he's never been on a mic before?
You
Come
know,
on.
and we
Listen to him.
probably should do a quick show intro / recap. It is November. I think it's November 10th
Oh, happy
today.
birthday, Marine Corps.
Yeah,
November 10th,
It is
Semper
November
Fi,
10th
everyone.
today of the year
2021.
2021. It is actually 3:26 as we speak, and it is a lovely. I think it's probably 80-something degrees out here today.
Yeah, I guess so.
I have pants on because I'm cold, but
Because he's cold.
and I've got my sweatshirt behind us. But it is nice out. Diann did mention that she placed Bill here. Now, there's a home behind the camera, for those of you that cannot tell. We didn't place him in the yard. He actually has a room inside the facility, but we happen to be sitting in the nice, tranquil backyard. There's some citrus trees behind us. We're under the nice gazebo here.
8 bedrooms.
We've got some more stuff. Yeah, no, there's a lot of nice foliage. We've got the flower pot here as part of our nice table setting.
Yes, it's very nice.
So it is a nice, tranquil backyard that people can relax in.
It's a beautiful house and a home and a beautiful community.
And there is electricity back here, at least as long as the soundboard will stay on, and then we'll be able to record.
And they do pay their bill. They do pay their bill for the electricity.
So far, we're still in
the
business.
water was off the other day, but that had nothing to do with anything. That was the city that did that. That was a conflict, but they resolved it.
Oh yeah, no.
But anyhow,
got that handled very quickly.
Right, and I called Andereya Dre, and I don't say his last name. It's just Andereya B to me.
Oh no, yeah, I feel super sad for my future wife because she will need to take phonetic speech classes just to sign checks at the bank.
I love it. I love it. And he's also the director of Legacy Homes, and he has this home and he has another home several blocks away. And the 2 owners I met the other day were lovely. The staff here is fabulous. We have beautiful Angie and Big George, who I just love. And we also have Hospice of the Valley that come in and serve some of their patients, residents that are living here.
Oh yeah, I cannot speak more highly of Hospice of the Valley.
Right, and I love it. But before we get into that, I wanted to make our introduction and welcome you to the show. And we're very excited to talk about some of the issues that we want to hear about regarding this business and how you resolve your conflict and how it's been with you during COVID and some of the differences between independent living, assisted living, and all the things that you and I had talked about and shared this whole week. So it's been emotional, but I'm here. I'm doing a show. It's helping me a lot. It's taking that emotion out of my commotion, and it's really great to be here. And Michael, you have never been in a situation where you've had a family member or anyone that had to go through this sort of living assistance, have you?
I've had family members that should have been placed in assisted living, and I have one left that should be placed in assisted living but is refusing to go.
Now, who is that?
The only living grandparent that I have.
She's the one that's out west.
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure exactly of the situation, but at one point we wanted to put her in a home and she refused to go. Now she wants to go to one, but
good.
We just bought her a condo to live in, so just make up your mind is kind of what I'm getting at.
Do you think maybe she'd like to come here?
I have no idea. I mean, it's a nice place. The comment I would have is, because I know she is rather difficult.
Oh, forget it. We don't want any difficult people here.
And I was just going to say, well, this isn't Sun City. My friends aren't over here. And so that would be one of the first complaints is this place is too far.
Okay, it's too far. Yeah.
I wouldn't even want to go down that road. I don't think you want any of my relatives coming to any of your facilities.
Hey, never say never.
Yeah, never say never.
Well, when it comes to my family, then you might want to say never.
Well, I think that's funny because when I finally talked to Dre the other day, it was by fluke that he called me. And I had been calling all these agencies, care.com, a mother's place, what do you want to call that place? But Hospice of the Valley has been coming to see Bill now for 3 months. And they recommended several places. And I don't know how I got your number or how you got my number, but for some reason, you made an impression on me. And I think, like we said, that was very serendipitous, how we met. And all of a sudden, I said, I'm coming out. I want to see the place. And here we are. And I'm like overwhelmed. And the same, somebody said, are you relieved? You're never relieved placing your loved one for 47 years in a place that I love him so much. Poor Bill thinks he's in prison. He thinks he's in jail.
He didn't seem very happy back there.
No, he's confused as usual. That's how he's been. But I told him the other day, it's better you're here because I am not good at this. I'm not a good caregiver. I can't take care of you. And if you want to live to see your next anniversary, you better be someplace where you'll be taken care of because I don't want you falling. I can't handle it. And I think it comes to a point where we can say to ourselves and be honest and truthful, yes, we need help.
Well, and you have
And
to
that's
mediate.
hard.
You have to mediate that issue with yourself.
Right.
I mean, because that's one
We're
of those
getting meta.
situations. I am a very independent person. Talk to Sarah. I never ask her for
well,
help
we
with
know
anything.
you are. And Bill
so
was too.
I know someday down the line, because I'm 36, but I'm feeling the effect of old age.
Well, your knee now.
Well, and this is the second time I've had this injury.
Well, you're playing hockey.
But my point is, at some point, many years down the line, I'm going to get to that point where I'm not going to be able to take care of myself, and I'm going to have to move into some place like this.
Now, are you going to be able to say?
No, it's going to piss me off.
Okay.
It's going
how
to
do you
make me
think-
very angry and upset.
How do you think?
Because I don't like asking for help and having to rely on anyone.
And Bill never ever did either. He's very independent. So we could talk about that. The independence of being how independent I am. I've never had anybody have to take care of me.
Well, and that's something that
That's hard.
people
That's
can,
very true.
and when you can start that process much earlier in time, and just it's mental preparedness. As I just said, you have to mediate that issue with yourself. Once you can come to the realization that, okay, this is the best decision for me and my health and my loved ones, then you can cope with that. You can just kind of suck it up and go do it and then get on with it. And
Exactly.
So it sounds like Bill hasn't come to that realization quite
Well,
yet.
Bill has Alzheimer's and he's confused by it. So
Hey,
Alzheimer's.
let's cut Bill a break here for a second, okay? He is still within his first week of residency. That is always the hardest week. It's just the transition, or what I like to call the pain period. In anything that you learn in life.
Kiss
whether-
the mic.
Wow. So in anything in life, whether you're learning a new language, bodybuilding, or taking a new class, there's always that initial pain period where you're transitioning into the nuance. And I will say that from my experience, Bill's doing just fine.
See, and I need to hear that. But he comes and says to me, I haven't seen you forever. And I says, well, I was just here yesterday and you don't argue. And I said, but I'm here now, and bringing things that are, that bring them homey things in the house. I'm just bringing little things here, little things there to remind him of things. So I think that that's going to be that's very good. And how you treat him is another thing. Everybody's great to him. And he sits with 4 ladies in the morning and tells me about his breakfast.
Whoa! Sitting
Yeah.
with 4 ladies
4
in the morning.
ladies, yes.
Oh, when Diane's not here,
No,
Bill will
there's
play.
3 of them. I mean, yeah, he has 3 ladies at breakfast with them.
Well, hey, I guess 4 if you include Angie.
Yeah, and Angie. But no, I think that he recognized you today,
Mm-hmm.
which was great.
He has always known who I am.
Yeah, he does. And you've been wonderful
I'm
to
just a
him.
very impactful individual.
Well, you two like to cook and do the kitchen stuff, and he does that too. But I think it's great to talk about the time of being here and his adjustment and my adjustment, because I'm so used to being with him 24/7 and doing everything. It's very difficult for me to wake up and feel, oh my God, I feel this horrible feeling in my stomach. Bill's not here, and then I just lose it. Or go home and he's not there. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Your routine has been the
My-
same for 40-something years, and now it's been jolted.
Yes, and especially now, especially the last 3 years, it's been one on, you know.
Well, and as I said before about mediating issues with yourself, the fact that Bill is here, and as you've been saying, you've been dealing with this for 3 years. It sounds like you mediated this issue with yourself, and this was the ultimate best decision for everyone involved, and that's where we are today.
And it helped me because of people like Dre and people like Hospice of the Valley, the social workers, and people like Angie and George, and people like you that are supportive.
And we
My
give
friends.
we give you that relief, knowing that
Yeah.
you can breathe and it's going to be okay.
And that's good to hear.
Oh, yeah.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You're okay. You're okay. So I'm happy to get that out of the way. Now you know why we're here. I think there has to be an awareness of these type of places. There has to be an awareness of what we deal with and our feelings that go along with it, and also what the service is, what the help is, and what you can provide. And I know that you had some great questions that you wanted us to ask you, so you pretty much know them, that you could tell us in your own words, why do you like working in this kind of facility, and what does it bring to your residents?
I've got a question before we get there.
Oh yeah,
Do
sure.
we want to do our asshole of the week?
No,
first?
no. I think it would just be a little bit more appropriate for the 14 people watching this show on YouTube right now to know a little bit more about Dre. And so my first question I wanted to ask you was, how did you get into home care? And then secondly, how did you end up at this specific facility?
Oh wow.
And then we can tie it into back into your question. I thought a little background information would be a little more helpful.
I think that we were going to get to that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for asking, Michael. Much appreciation. To be honest, the way I got involved in home care was back when I was in university at Washington State University. Go Cougars, of course.
Looking for a new football coach right now.
Hey, but we beat ASU, so ta, you know, gotta love it. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, no. So when I was studying in economics and analytics over at Washington State University, I was also working as a caregiver part-time. And while I was just gaining that experience, I didn't really think it would lead to anything, you know, just something that fit my schedule while I was trying to be academic. And as I graduated, I happened to get a job working underneath a CPA for a supported living organization over in Washington State, this place called Community Visions, and it was with an excellent gentleman named Tim Tveit. I eventually ended up going my own direction after working there, and I worked as a manager for this other place called Hope Supported Living underneath this excellent director named Binyam Kabidi. That last name is kind of
Shout
hard.
out to these people.
Yeah, shout out to Binyam Kabidi. Yo, that really, like, he showed me...
Hashtag Kabidi.
Kabidi. Yeah, no, but really, he was the guy who showed me how to be hands-on and how to be involved with residents on a more than professional, but on a personal level at the same time, and checking in on their care. And at that same time, with my background in finance and economics, I was studying to be an IRS accountant, and I was handling people's books. And this
He's a money guy.
well, you know, hey, money gets the honey, right? Like, what can you say? But no. So it was during this time that I would be with one of my residents when I'd be working in the caregiving industry, and I went to this gas station. I went to this gas station called the Driscoll Corner Store in Spokane, and that is where I happened to meet the owner of this place.
No.
Yeah.
Serendipitous.
And we never discussed anything care related. You know, he just saw me, I saw him, he was a cool guy. I let him know that I do taxes, and he had asked me to domicile, or aka convert the income he had made over in India over here to the States. I did that. He enjoyed the way I did that so much.
In the store, just standing there talking.
Yeah. And this wasn't just, you know, all in one moment. This happened maybe over a couple months of me going back in and out, being
So you just start talking to him in the store.
We just started vibing. As the youngsters like to say these days, we were vibing. And one day he just was like, okay, back to the taxes. I did the taxes. He liked the way I did it so much that one day when I was doing stand-up comedy out in Spokane.
Oh, yeah, we have to talk about that, too.
Oh, yeah, more on that later. But he liked the way I did it so much. Before I went up, he called me and offered me a position to be the director over here in Arizona from Washington State. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, what? I was like, and he's like, no, we're serious. Like, you know, this would be the setup. These would be your responsibilities. We'd like you to do this 5 to 10 page project or paper, just letting us, or report. It was a 5 to 10 page report as to where I wanted to move the organization and how I would get us there. Typed it out, nice and formal. He dug it. I digged him. Next thing I know, I'm driving halfway across the country to set up shop here.
Wow. And how long ago was that?
That was about 6 to 7 months ago.
That's incredible.
And I don't know, I just haven't looked back since. I've been enjoying every moment of it here.
And you got a roommate in an apartment?
Oh, yeah, no. So I have a roommate, but it is over at, it's in a house out in Tempe.
Oh, that's good. So you're in Tempe. That's where all the cool guys are, right?
Yeah, I like to call Tempe baby Scottsdale. Right?
It is. It's a nice little.
You know, they share a border, and everybody from there likes to go there, and vice versa.
So that's interesting. So, so then you have the two houses that you run, the two comfort care places, right?
Yeah, the two homes out here.
Right, and the other one's not too far away.
No, it's just about a 5-minute drive away, and all the residents there are just as wonderful as the residents here. Really, I'm blessed. I couldn't ask for a better position.
That's amazing. How serendipitous. How great things can happen and turn around like that, right, Michael? It's just like overwhelms me. And look what you're doing, and look at how great you were to get Bill in here and to make me feel so at home.
I mean, if you
that's-
like what you do and you know you're making a positive impact, I mean, I don't see any wrong in that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They always say, work as if you don't need the money,
Well, if you like what you do, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like work.
never feels like work. Does it feel like work to you?
No,
Because you're so great with everyone.
No, and most of the time it doesn't feel like work, but right, gotta hit the all caps. But there are certain things that I was not privy to when I first got here.
Let's talk about that. What were your what was conflicted, or were your conflicts?
Okay, let's get straight to the sauce. Unfortunately, sometimes people happen to pass away on you, and when I had first got here, it was literally my first week. I mean, it was like my second or third day here, and there was somebody who was already at that latter phase
Transition.
of time. But I had not gotten briefed on that when I had first gotten here. So it just kind of came out of left field for me. I'm just over here giving everybody food, like serving them up, go into this gentleman's room, and I'm like, yo, Walt, yo, Walt, you hungry? And I'm just like, he's just taking a nap. He's cool. Okay.
Taking the big sleep.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's just taking a nap.
He's gone already, buddy.
Just came back, and he looked so peaceful. I was like, I don't wanna wake him up. He's okay. And I come back about like an hour later, and I'm like,
Still peaceful.
and I'm like,
Still not hungry.
I don't need you yet.
Yeah, so I kind of walk up a little closer to him, and I'm like, oh. And then it hit me, and me being me, the first thing I do, and I'm just in my rookie phase of going into this job at this point, I instantly call the owners. I'm like, yo, Indy, that's the name of the owner.
Indy's a great guy too.
Yeah, this guy named Inderberg Gill. He's awesome, and he's a professional
And he's
basketball
cute
player.
and he's young. Is he professional basketball player?
He's a professional basketball player.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Well,
like, no.
he's big enough to be one. He's real tall, young, good-looking guy. I met them the other day. I thought you guys were going to be old.
Oh yeah, one thing about Legacy Comfort Homes, everybody who's an owner or administrator just is charming and good looking.
Oh my gosh, they have to be.
Yeah.
Look at you. Okay.
It helps. It
So
helps.
I kind of asked him if he was a basketball player. He kind of was very humble about that.
Right? Doesn't he have like a basketball swagger to
Oh,
him?
he sure
He
does.
kind
You
of
know
walk.
how you
He
can
kind of
tell
walks
every-
with the shoulder bob.
You know how you
and
can
the,
tell NBA players?
Yeah, it's hard to pick out those 6'9" guys. they don't stick out in the crowd at all.
I can pick them out. Anybody taller than me is a basketball player.
Oh yeah.
So
but-
what happened? Did
so-
you kind of like?
So I called him and I was like, dude, like trying to hide my shock. I'm like, Indy, I think.
And try to be professional.
No, yeah, and I'm just stuttering and sputtering all over my sentences. Indy, can I think he passed, bro. And he's like, it's okay, bro. It's chill. Just like, these things happen. It's part of the course of just life in general. He's like, just feel honored that you get to be the person.
Oh yeah.
You get to be the person to comfort his family and be the person who can tie up all these loose ends for him, because that's a privilege. And I took that to heart. I told him, thank you so much. So called up his family, did the respectable thing, handled it as professional as possible, or as professionally as a professional could. And from there, I think I got my sea legs. That was it. Yeah, so 3
I
days
guess
in,
so.
got my sea legs.
I mean, a lot of people say there's no better experience than getting out and doing it.
And you have to do it once to say you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And you can't train somebody for that kind of thing. It just happens to you, and you just.
So, did you make some changes in policy about that ever happening again to somebody? That people needed to be aware of these types of situations with people that may just pass on them?
It just depends, because
Yeah.
you never know when it's going to occur. You know, you could be out and about just picking up some groceries, and then you get a phone call, or you could be in the very next room just setting up the television for them, and then you ask them what they want to watch for dinner and
Sure.
a movie the next night, and no response.
It isn't like it's in living assist. I mean, like it's in Hospice of the Valley last time, the last day, their last days, where they're expecting them to pass.
Oh no, no,
Okay,
no, no.
so this is living assistance. Most people come here, living assistance, think it's okay. They're going to probably end up in that state, maybe not soon, not that far away, or however, without having to go into another facility,
No, this
or
gentleman.
they stay here
This gentleman that was with us was here for years.
for years.
Yeah, multiple years.
So he knew
yeah.
this was going to be his passing place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
and his family was awesome. They came and visited him on a very regular
Yeah.
basis. I think it was every Friday and Sunday. They always came through.
You know, and I think that there has to be a definition of some of the services that we talked about of what Hospice of Valley is, because people think hospice means what? The morphine, and close your eyes
Death.
and you're gone. And it is, yeah, death.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not afraid to be blunt about it. That's what it means to me.
but see, that's what's bad about it, because it's not the case. And I had to tell people that. Oh my God, I have to get out and see Bill. How is he? Does he know you? I said, yes, he still does. I said I would never place him until he didn't know who I was, but then it became physical, and I knew I had to change my thought process and mediate myself, as you said. But everybody thinks Hospice of the Valley is death, but it isn't, because they offer so many services. They offer referral services. They offer in-home care services. It isn't just death. And maybe you can explain that a little more about that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how the girls come here, the social workers come. They make sure their services or whatever they need are provided for them. Supplies, everything. It's incredible what Hospice of the Valley does. And maybe you can explain the differences that people need to know. It's not just death.
Yeah. Well, in its infancy, hospice was just mostly taking care of people. And this is like when they were first starting out, decades ago. But currently, since I'd say early 2000s, hospice has expanded their services to being about palliative care, about making their residents and their patients as comfortable as possible, regardless if death is on the horizon or not. So often you can go into hospice and live an extra 10 years. You know, it just depends on how critical your condition is that you qualify for their care.
And they make evaluations as every 3 to 6 months to determine what that care can be, like they did with Bill. Plus, they offer a respite. When I had to go to New York, they said, bring him up to one of our Hospice of the Valley places. We're going to take care of him while you get away and you take care of yourself, which I think is incredible.
Oh, no, that's super true. And for anybody who is imagining hospice as being the same as like an ICU or an emergency department in a hospital, that's just not the case.
It's not.
No. They are, what's the best way to phrase it? They're kind of like the stewards of comfort, you know.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
Stewards of comfort.
Yeah, they're like the stewards of comfort. And they come into our facility at least 2 to 3 times a week. They're always checking up on people.
Like Bill.
But it's more than just them providing that professional service. I mean, they joke around. They got inside innuendos with all the residents. You know, they like, for example, there's this one lady, if I may use her name. Her name's Carrie Berry.
Oh, we love Carrie Berry, and that's her real name.
That's her real name, Carrie Berry.
She's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And she's all, like, jaunty and like lighthearted and very professional, but she makes herself available in such a way that it gives all the other residents a sense of security.
And the same way with Samantha, the social worker.
Oh yeah, Samantha is a gem. And you know, honestly, those two keep me on my toes as well. You
Yeah,
know, like
Christine Parrish and Kathy, the girls that we had before we moved here, I'm going to miss them terribly because they came twice a week to check on Bill. And they were great. Now I have Carrie Berry and Samantha, and they're just great. So you have that kind of extra comfort, as you call it. They're real stewards of comfort.
Yeah.
And so I think that's people need to know the difference. And I told them, people get the wrong idea of hospice. Like you said, death, you know, straight out there.
When you asked, we were talking about that in the pre-show. You wanted to talk about the difference between nursing home and hospice, and I wrote down just instantly. My thoughts were, hospice has a negative stigma to it.
It does.
There
It
is
does.
almost
It
somewhat
does.
of a fear, and you know the typical adjectives are old, death, sickness. And so it's, you know, kind of like you're walking towards the Grim Reaper in a sense. But,
Exactly.
But as you've just stated, that's not the case. It is more about being a steward of comfort, not the guy with the scythe and the rope. And so it's that, and that's the purpose of why we're here. We're talking about this stuff. We're trying to educate the public so then they can make a better decision about themselves and their family members moving forward.
Oh yeah, and if I may unpack that even a bit more, just the full range of resources that hospice, especially Hospice of the Valley out here, offers to our residents is unparalleled. I mean, they will provide all the medications. They'll provide all of the incontinence supplies, that being briefs or, you know, like the little chalks or wipes,
yeah.
towels. I mean, they come in here and bathe the residents. They come in here and literally take them into showers 2 to
And
3
they
times
can
a week.
they can have somebody come in and bathe. I told them yesterday, sure, give these guys a break. You know, you have the ability. We have that as part of the program. Let their people come in here and give them a bath. Let them do that if they can do that. Why not? It helps you.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? If you have the service, let them do it.
Oh yeah, and beyond that, they're very thoughtful. Like just the other day, Diann, we were just talking about how hospice likes to recognize veterans, right?
Tell them how I cried about that. Oh, my word. I didn't tell you this. Did I tell you, Michael?
I think so.
Well, you tell them.
Oh, sure.
It was amazing to me.
So just the other day, or actually it was just last night, I was just laying down on my couch, catching up on LeBron James highlights because I'm a LeBron fanatic.
Oh, I
There's
am
no
too.
LeBron highlights right now. He's injured. So what were you really doing?
Well, okay, I was catching up on Laker highlights and LeBron was on the sideline. But to me, those are still highlights because I'll be honest, I'm not even a Laker fan. I'm just a LeBron fan. I'm just like, oh,
I saw him.
you know, oh, I'm jealous. But
I
so
got to see him.
yeah, and in the midst of that, Diann calls me just you know, talking about, hey, you know, just feel comfortable for tomorrow on the show, XYZ 1 2 3, and then she talks about how her spouse, her significant other, Bill,
Yeah.
was a Korean War veteran, and how hospice has this recognition that they do where if they find out that you were a legit veteran that served in one of our great beautiful wars, that they would come through and recognize you with like a medal and
A ceremony.
and a formal ceremony.
And they're doing that for Bill. And they like to know that their vets are okay here and they're going to come and honor him. And I just got off the phone with the Hospice of the Valley representative that told me that they're going to have a volunteer call me that's a retired vet that goes around to all of the facilities and they find out through hospice who these veterans are and they honor them. And Bill's going to be honored. So I think that that's just wonderful that they're going to do that. And that's another service that hospice is providing. So I brought a shadow box in today.
Oh, you know, was it on the wall in there?
No, not. It was
that
sitting
wasn't that
down.
one. I saw the medals on the wall in his room.
Oh, they're all his race. They're both our ski racing from the.
Well, I saw that stuff too.
Yeah, the racing medals. Yeah, they were medals that he raced. But I had his medals from the Korean War. And I looked at him today and I said, do you remember this? And he said, Oh, yes. I was in that tank. I said, what were you in that tank? He was a gunner, and he was a commanding officer.
And she sent me the photo of that, too, and I was
Yeah.
looking at it like, whoa.
Yeah, did you see that?
Whoa.
And I said to him,
Oh, and this reminds me of something. I mean, after this is something I wanted to talk about, because people need to know about how awesome these residents are. I'm talking about like just like Bill, the lives that some of these people have lived, you would not believe.
I know, and it's
A lot of interesting
Alzheimer's.
stories.
The Alzheimer's is what would really, you look at this man and you think, we were talking about, he was born in 1931, hyphen. What is in between that hyphen? What does that hyphen say? What does that tell us about who we are and what we have done? How can you fill a little tiny hyphen up with all the things that he's done and accomplished? Or these people in here are amazing, their lives.
You know, if a picture can say 1,000 words, that hyphen can say a lot more.
Exactly. It's amazing. And you just don't know what's in that hyphen. You know, it's incredible. And he's, when I looked at him today and I said, do you remember this? He said, yeah. That was a long time ago. And I said to him, how many men were in that tank? 5 of us, but we had backup. And what did you do? He said, I was in North Korea, sitting on the lines of South Korea. What do you think I did? We had to kill people. That's a total Bill Wilson answer, right?
Very subtle.
I said,
very subtle.
I said, very subtle. And I said, oh, and I said, yeah, I was a gunner. I said, oh, okay, you were the gunner. I said, okay. And then you came in. It was so funny. Yeah, I had to kill people. What do you think I was in there for? In a Sherman tank, I had to kill people. But a commanding officer, a young commanding officer, youngest sergeant they had in a Sherman tank. And he remembered it.
Well, I salute that man. Thank goodness.
I mean, and I said to him, there aren't that many of you left. Seriously, the average age of Korean War vet right now is 70 to 93.
And it's going to continue to get older.
Yeah, if you think about it. So they really like
time
seeing.
works.
They really like seeing these little 90-year-olds that have been in the Korean War that could tell those stories about actually being in North Korea, sitting on the South Korean, right on the border. You know, you imagine that? Oh my God, it just like scares me. But anyhow, that's typical when you go in and see these people, what kind of lives they've had. I mean, you go through a cemetery and think, oh God, what kind of life did they have? And a veteran's like, what kind of life did they have? Everybody has a story to tell. You're going to have a story to tell.
I already do.
Yeah, you do. I do. You do. You definitely do.
Everyone's got a story
yeah.
to tell. When they pass and you go through their belongings, you uncover parts of that story.
Look at all the stuff you found out about your grandfather.
Yeah.
He was a great doctor, great psychiatrist, and wrote books and had them published.
My goodness.
I have one of them in my car to get back to
We
your
all
mom,
knew
by the way.
that. We knew those things. But
What did you not know?
But we didn't know is when he died, we found 8 books that he wrote that never got published, and so now that's what you're working on.
With your mom.
So,
yes.
that's one. Like we said, we knew a lot of these things. We just didn't know how much more there was until
We found this great book that he wrote about, oh my gosh, some crimes happened in Palm Springs, you know?
Oh, well, that's the foreshadowing because those are all true stories, I believe.
Yeah,
I have not
they
read
all
them.
were.
I don't know anything about it. Is it 10 or 12 or how many?
Yeah, they're all real stories too, and he kind of interchanged them, so he couldn't use real names. But it's incredible what you can find out.
Yep.
My grandfather on his deathbed pulled me down to his chest and said, go underneath my bed and pull out the duct tape off the bottom of the mattress. I said, okay. I thought he was hallucinating.
A bunch of money in there?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not
his
surprised.
golf money.
What?
Oh, he was a golf
He
pro.
got that mattress money.
Yeah, he had the mattress money, and it was all underneath the mattress. And I went home with my grandmother, and I'm pulling it on, all this money coming out, all folded up, and then also little numbers things written on them with little numbers. I think he was a bookie as well. I'm not saying that.
I was gonna say, sounds like a mobster.
He was, but no, he wasn't. He was Mickey Wall, and he was a great golfer, and he was a golf pro. And my grandmother stood there because they had twin beds, and she said, that SOB, and I've been saving all this money to go out to see Aunt Rosie in California, and he's had it all stuck underneath his mattress.
This is money. This is golf
This is
earnings.
golf money.
Yeah. That was that was all legally withdrawn funds.
Yes, that he won. So we took it all on, and I went to the hospital the next day, and I went down. I said, I found it. He said, look, anything else we need to find? He said, under the table. I looked under the table. There's a screw. There was a jar, a mason jar, screwed up in there with a bunch of money in it. My brother still has that table. Anyhow, isn't that funny?
That's amazing.
So you can find funny stories about these people, like you did with your grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
Things that you just didn't know. And that's why I think we need to keep a diary of
Well,
everything we do.
When my grandmother passed, I think that she found money in 6 different spots in the house when they were going through it. Just envelopes of cash just hidden.
Well, I found bonds that Bill had that are matured that I can't get them cashed because there's no, quote, medallion banker that will cash them anywhere, and you have to send all the serial numbers to the Federal Reserve or government, and then they give you approval. Then you have to take that back to the bank. Have you ever heard such a thing?
I'm not
You're a
surprised by it.
banker.
Yeah, that sounds fairly bureaucratic. But I'm not saying I agree with it.
I mean, what am I going to do with all these things? They're all matured.
Go send them to the reserve and get your new note, and then get the number.
That's
and
what
then
they do.
Well, if that's what they told you to do, that would probably be the option you have.
Yeah.
But I think everyone needs to know that there are things that we have to protect ourselves too with our loved ones, is getting our affairs in order. And Diann, I didn't do a very good job doing that.
Oh, stop it.
Well, it's because Bill took care of everything. I had my own financial situation. He had his own. I didn't know what he had or he didn't have. I'm still finding it out. I told you. You know that. I still don't know half of it.
Well, I know that you've appointed me to address some of these concerns.
Right.
I know that I have nothing. If I die, then whatever. I'm dead. I'm not worried about it. I'll let
Yeah,
everyone
well,
else deal
I'm
with my
worried
stuff.
about it.
Well, yeah, hey, personally, I'm just putting everything in my mom's name the older I get, because, you know, that way the feds can't trace me. So,
What do you put in
Kidding.
your? Well, I think talking about it personally, I think the show's going to be great for anyone listening. Get your affairs in order, everyone, because you don't know what's going to happen to your loved one.
Yeah, well, this show is more of just kind of a pre-planning advice.
And and how to deal with conflict, because that can be conflicting. That can be very conflicting. Oh my God, I didn't know you had these. I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't know when you filed your taxes. I didn't know you did file your taxes. I mean, those kinds of things, you know what I mean?
oh, yeah.
That he would take care of, that you have to get onto the bottom of. And I thought I would never, ever, I don't want to look back and say, I should have, could as, would. They're the worst 3 words in the English language.
Well, and-
could as, would as, and should as.
And one of the things that we haven't mentioned, I don't want to say if it's necessarily off topic or not, but when you get into a situation when you're in a home like this, you know, we're talking about wills and trusts and getting your affairs in order. I would say one of the most appropriate documents would be a power of attorney, because
Right.
if the resident and or their spouse is incompetent to make a decision, who's going to be the one where that would who makes that medical decision? If someone falls down and you got to go to the hospital and they need X surgery or whatever, who's making that decision?
You have to have a medical power of
And
attorney
so that's something to be thinking
and a
about.
DNR on file. Do not resuscitate.
Well, that's of the person's decision, but along with the power of attorney, you should also and there are multiple types of powers of attorney. There
Sure.
are medical powers of
Medical,
attorneys, but also
fiduciary.
financial power
Right.
of attorney, because you know you could be physically fine but mentally gone, but all of a sudden you decide you want to spend $300,000 on a Pinto. That's not a good buy. And so
No.
that's why you need to have someone else with decision-making authority going, yeah, maybe you shouldn't blow all your money. Because don't we have a friend that had someone get taken advantage of like that?
Oh, Cosmo. He
Oh,
knows
no.
Cosmo.
What? Cosmo's my guy.
And so that's
What?
He
it.
knows
It sounds
Cosmo.
like
Everybody knows Uncle Cosmo.
because he's very well off. He
got
probably
taken
should have
by-
had someone put a financial power of attorney in his place, so that didn't happen.
And
to him.
now we got him all covered with Jessica Cotter. She takes care of everything for him. And I love it because he got taken like you couldn't believe. And we had a huge mediation case, but we got it all back. And he did.
Thank gosh.
He really got caught. He really did, didn't he?
Well, and it sounds like because he or someone wasn't taking the appropriate, putting the steps in place to take care of him. Well, I think it was his wife or girlfriend
his
or something.
girlfriend.
Yeah, she all of a sudden got into his accounts and started doing stuff because he didn't know what was going on. No one there was overlooking him because he didn't have anyone giving him guidance to manage his affairs, and so people like that take advantage.
Built a house together. She sold it, kept all the money to herself. He ended up buying a house, but we got it. He's doing okay now. The hardest thing with him was he had 50 cars. And sports cars and Hummers, and drove all over the country with them.
Shout out to Cosmo.
And now he's riding a scooter, and he hates it. Hates it, doesn't go fast enough. But no, that's true. I mean, these are the things that happen, and your loved one does pass on, and you're sad, and you meet somebody else, and next thing you know, they're taking advantage of you. And then you get worse, but now he's in a good place. You're right. I'm glad you brought that up, Michael.
Cosmo's old girlfriend.
His old girlfriend. That's our song. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some people are offended by it, but our cool people or Hospice of the Valley wouldn't mind that.
Well,
your people wouldn't mind that, right? And we know yours don't.
Yeah, no one cares.
A lot of my people.
I mean, we only have 14 viewers, and so if anyone, if we were to lose any of those, it would be a significant portion of viewership.
On my other show, I had over 300,000 listeners.
This is the same show.
And
we combine them all.
Yeah,
and,
we share
300,000.
Yeah, and we had every week, and then we had on KFNX we did, but we were actually had talk in and call in, and we resolved conflicts and disputes on the air. So we could do that too.
We could do all that stuff now. We could take call-ins, but just no one knows right now that we're doing this.
We could do it.
We're recording off YouTube to be uploaded later.
Yeah, and we're going to send it to thousands and thousands of people again.
Well, speaking about powers of attorney, I was talking to my mother about this just the other day because she is in her 60s and
she's still a baby.
Well, true, but she just got COVID about like a month and a half ago, and she was in that precarious age where she should be quote unquote concerned. And during that time, she was sounding horrible. She's much better now, made a full recovery, but she was asking these hard kinds of questions during that time, and she just said, "Hey, all my kids know, Andereya, that you're my favorite, so
sound familiar, Michael?"
Yeah, and she was just like, yeah, no, she's like, whatever happens, I'd like to stay with you, and I want you to be the person to overlook everything if things should go south.
That's smart of her.
And I told her, I was like, Mom, you stop that talk right now, okay?
She's good. You should be happy she's doing that talk.
Yeah.
I think that's smart.
Sounds like she's already had that mediation with herself.
Yeah, she's had the mediation with herself.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're a good mediator. He's a good mediator, lawyer. We had a tough time with you in our mediation class.
I have a hard time changing hats.
You had a hard time changing hats, but you did a great job. You taught us a lot, too.
Well, Dre said one of the magic words of 2020, 2021. And I think it actually does good to get back on topic here. But you said COVID, which everyone knows what that is, and we've all had way too much of it. But how COVID and the nursing home world collide. In the last 6 months since you've been here, and this might be a difficult question for you to answer because you don't have any nursing. Well, you have some up in Washington.
I was working in caregiving management the whole time.
Okay. So the question ultimately is going to be, what changes have you seen in the adult care industry? Have you seen both pre and post COVID? And I know one off the top of my head that I think is going to be a very big answer, but I want to see what you say first before I divulge.
Well, first thing I'll say is just the COVID in itself has been horrible PR for the nursing and long-term care industry. Not necessarily in its practice, but just in the way that it's perceived. Because when that did first start in the rise, what did we hear? We always heard it happening in nursing homes, right? Like that was like the big headlines. Like we always heard about it, like, oh no, like this many people have
Bunch of
gotten-
susceptible people all close together.
Mhm.
Breeding ground.
Yeah, breeding ground. But that in itself was temporary. That was kind of more due to just it being brand new, people not having the proper resources to stay vaccinated and, to build their defenses, if you would. And there has been a deleterious effect that has been happening as far as just policies and deregulation has gone since then. Now, you would think that it would become more regulated with the wake of COVID, but ironically, it's had an inverse effect. So much so, even here in the state of Arizona, this board called the NCIA got completely dissolved. Like now, that was its own independent department that was overseeing all the health qualities and requirements of like nursing homes and whatnot. But that got grouped in with the Arizona Department of Health, and they're doing an excellent job. That is not me saying that that they're not looking over us. They stay on top of us like white on rice. But the fact that there is a dissolving of specificness or specificity to me makes me think that, like who do I call? Like, if
The
something,
Ghostbusters.
Doo-doo. But yeah, so it's just become a little bit more ambiguous to call certain people for certain questions, and now everything is automated. Everything in the health industry is like automated robot calls and phone calls, and you get transferred.
Press 1 for more information.
Yeah, and also because of COVID, a lot of people have been leaving the healthcare sector. I read this great article in The Economist called "The Great Resignation." And
Yeah, you said that yesterday.
yeah, and it just delves into how about like 20% of the healthcare sector for labor has just completely been shorted
Because of being overworked,
because of being overworked with all the people coming in.
vaccine requirements.
Well, vaccine requirements, being overworked, but also just not getting the appreciation that they're due. Because while all these things were going on, we didn't see healthcare workers get a raise in pay rate. Like a compensation for the work and the extra responsibilities that they were getting. And to them, they're like, hey, we're out here saving everybody's loved ones, but we're not feeling the love ourselves.
Well, no, I completely understand that viewpoint. And even to take it a step further, they were the frontline workers for the first year of this. Now they're being required to get the vaccine, which everyone has questions upon that in and of itself. But the ones that refuse, thank you for working the last year, but now you're fired.
You right?
Exactly.
And so that's the thing that really
That's what's been happening in the banks too right now.
Discombobulating to everyone. Yeah. Say that
Wells
again?
Fargo, 2 people at the bank today. A lot of them been fired because they won't get their vaccination.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. And I went in there. I told them today I had to go to 2 banks because I couldn't deposit anything. I couldn't do anything. I could deposit. I couldn't write or do anything else. I have no checks. Who writes checks?
I write
anymore?
checks.
You have a book of checks?
Yeah.
I don't. I do everything online. Okay. To write.
I still use cash too, by the way.
Well, I almost brought you cash. I'd rather have cash. I'm going to do what my grandfather did. I'm going to start doing that.
I have cash around my house because you know what? It's always good everywhere you go.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. But I used to do that, but now with people coming in and out of my house, I haven't done it as much as I used to.
I know. I haven't found any lately.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of another large point in the healthcare sector with the whole COVID thing going on. So, sure. I mean, people are a bit skittish of, say, like a nursing.
Vaccination?
Well, that's yes, and I would never tell anybody to get vaccinated if they don't want to. If you want to, good for you.
You don't
But-
get into that politics.
Well,
No.
it's a personal choice, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, and I
It's no one's
respect
business.
I respect everybody's choices, but the thing I think about is like, okay, if it was my mother and I had the option between taking her to a high quality, well-resourced assisted long-term care facility or having somebody come into my home and take care of my mother in my own house while I'm gone away at work, I think I wouldn't prefer. I don't know. I don't know who these people are on a personal level. They're just coming into my home. My mom is vulnerable. I have all my personal possessions there. You know, I mean, I'm not saying anybody does anything wrong like that. That's not, you know, I have no proof to substantiate bad things happen in that regard. But for me, I would rather have them somewhere like away from my home. So when I go home, I'm able to recharge my batteries and then come back and give my mom or whoever my loved one is in that care my 100% best.
And he brings up an absolute fabulous point, because that's what the problem I was having the last couple months is interviewing people in my home for home care and having them come in to stay with Bill. And the problem that I was having was that a lot of the people that I interviewed that were sent to me from these professional organizations, they didn't have their vaccination. And I was told by his doctor, Dr. Ball, who's my good friend, you know Dr. B, do not let anyone work with Bill unless he's vaccinated. And and Bill is vaccinated. Of course, if he is, he's had both of them. And I said, how could you be a home care worker and not have your vaccination? And he said, I need to get it. And I called his director, and she says, we didn't know that. I says, why are you sending people out here that aren't vaccinated? And it's a personal thing to me that I don't want anybody in my house that isn't. Plus, I don't know them. And they're coming in and going. And one night I had somebody spend the night because he was up all night and I needed to sleep because I'm up all night with him, and he was going to the bathroom. And it ended up being, thanks to Hospice of the Valley and the respite program, found out his bladder was full and they put a catheter in him. He just wasn't relieving it. It was a simple thing. Next thing you know, the nurse leaves in the middle of the night. I hear the dog barking. The alarm goes off on the door. Go down, what's going on? Well, I have to leave. I have to get home. I don't feel good. And got another nurse coming. I thought, this is it with this home care stuff. I mean, you start getting fed up. You know, well, maybe I'll get somebody to live in. So then I'm going to all those options. Well, maybe a live in. No, you're going to hate a live in, Diann, because you're too independent, and you're going to tell that you're not going to like somebody living there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Bill, it would be too difficult for me to have a live in. But anyhow, if I were at the same stage, the two of us were both 90, Ann would both have us gone. You know, she'd have us placed somewhere. She's already told me that. Shut up and eat your soup. We tease about that all the time. But no,
that's why you need to get a power of attorney for your medical decision making.
Which I do. But anyhow, you're right.
But no, you said Ann is your power of attorney.
Ann
so if she wants you to go in a home, you're going in a home.
Well, I think I could still voice my opinion, right? If I'm still lucid, because I'll hire you. I'll get a lawyer.
No, because if she has your decision making authority, your opinion doesn't matter at that point.
Well, let me tell you something. My mother had a DNR, and she was in an ambulance on her way to the hospital, and she told them, DNR, she's hardly breathing, DNR. I'm like, oh my God, this is the most horrible experience. And I said, well, Mom, I'm your power of attorney. She says, but I have the DNR and I still am lucid to be able to tell them I do not want to be resuscitated. And she's telling me this, pulling her mask off, repeating it. What are you supposed to do at that point? You know, I wanted to resuscitate her because I wanted the kids to see her. The DNR, and I said, fine, you're not going to see your favorite son. Oh, okay. She went in and they put her on a respirator so that her kids could come and see her. But it wasn't my decision. I had to tell her, well, okay, fine, you're going to go. That's what you want to do. But that's tough when you have those decision-making abilities. Mm-hmm. And she's yelling DNR at you, taking her mask off.
Well, you're making a decision with someone else's life.
Right.
That's a kind of an important decision. And, I mean, as much as you think you know that person, you might not think the same way in that manner in that time.
Well, that was a perfect example of her yelling and spelling it out to the evidence stars. I have a DNR. He said, well, what good am I as her power? I wasn't any good at all. Mm-mm. They have to respect her. wishes. That's
Well-
a tough one, Michael.
No, it is.
That's a good subject for the show. That's a tough decision.
No, that's true. And, luckily, so me personally, where I'm from, the topic of death is something that we talk about very often. Me and my family were from Rwanda, and we were all in the genocide over there.
Do you believe this? His story is incredible.
Yeah, so often from a young age, my mom would always tell me about the things that happened over there and how blessed we were to live through the whole tragedy and make it out and make it over here to the United States. And because of that, she talks about death like it's just another ornament on the Christmas tree.
Wow.
Like,
Well, that's because she was so exposed to all of it.
mhm.
It's almost like the Holocaust.
Oh yeah,
The same sort of thing.
yeah. I guess that's Rwanda's version of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah, except it was a bit more personal, if I may say. I'm not trying to compare which genocide was cooler. That's not my thing. But
I know what you
but
Who had the coolest genocide?
we had way better outfits when it happened. But there was like a layer of personalness to it, because in Rwanda, it wasn't like people were just getting round up by secret police or anything. These were literally family members and neighbors that were taking each other out. And after that, it just gives you this sense of how precious life is and how accepting you have to be when that final moment comes. And my mom always tells me, she's like, hey, you're here until you're not. But while you're here, make it, leave the place, leave the world better off than how you came into it.
I love that.
Oh.
That's a great attitude to have, especially what she's been through.
Yeah.
And that's a healthy, good attitude. Well, my God, we cover so much, and thank you. This has been a great show. Is there anything else you'd like to add that you know about your facility and the care that you offer here? Or did we cover that?
Well, over here.
How many beds you have here?
Oh yeah, so
At
over
Legacy Comfort Homes?
So at Legacy Comfort Homes, we have a total of 16 available beds. Currently, we have, let's see here, we have about 4 beds available. So we're doing, we have a pretty good cast and crew, but the crew, like the specific people, I want to talk about the residents. Wow, so accomplished. I mean, from Bill, with everything that he's been through, infantry, Korean tanker, and he also graduated from Harvard. He
graduated from University of Pittsburgh and went to a graduate program at Harvard.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay.
My apologies. But no, and just working with such
Engineering,
higher ups in engineering, and then at some of our other residents, there's this gentleman named John. He was he might have been the very first left-handed MLB pitcher, in the 70s. Yeah, who really came to prominence. He played for the Phillies. He played for the San Diego Padres.
Did you get a signed ball?
No, but I better go over there and do that ASAP. Ooh. And then there's
These lefties are good.
And that's very rare, especially back then. A lot of people didn't know how to adjust to left-handed pitchers.
Left-handed batters, Mickey Mantle, left and right.
Boom, boom.
Lefty, righty.
Actually, that's pretty impressive. No, and then so there's another resident we have, this lady named Phoebe. Super accomplished, just like everybody else. She has 6 Emmys.
What?
6 Emmys and 2 Oscars. And you can walk into her room and
What did she do?
So she worked on the Screen Actors Guild Academy. So she was actually
That's incredible.
Yeah, she actually worked on the academy.
I thought she was on the show Friends.
Hey, you know what? I don't know if she was on it, but I'm sure she worked in behind the scenes to make that happen. And I just feel so blessed to come into contact with these people and learn about their lives and all the good decisions that they made, because it kind of gives me signals as to the right decisions to make as I get older. I'm like, okay, like these people, wonderful people.
So inspirational.
Yeah, they're able to do so many great things that means there's no excuse for me not to level
What
up.
a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Michael, go back to the point that you were going to make before I kind of got off on my tangent like I usually do. You had asked him a pointed question about how it affected during the COVID, how it affected the caregiving in this place. And you said you had your understanding and your thoughts. What were yours?
No, what the question originally was how's COVID impacted, the nursing home industry and whatnot. And the thing that you said that triggered me was you said regulation has kind of come into play. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the same. The note that I wrote on here was less visitors. And I wrote that because of the regulations that you can only have one person at a time or whatever
Right.
the facility is willing to accommodate. And then at the same time, we have the vaccine requirements coming in and out. And so that's why I wrote down the regulation concept, because I do think that was important in how it is having a direct impact both on the residents and the visitors of said residents. And then that was why I said the less
Okay.
visitors overall, because you can't move around with what's going on in the world.
Well, I know it was very difficult when Bill was in the hospital last year when he fell, and I couldn't go in. I was devastated that I couldn't go and see him. And it was so hard because anyone with Alzheimer's, that you know how that is. I mean, it's just like the sundowning was really bad. Finally, Dr. Ball got me special permission to go in and go see him because they wanted to keep him calm and make sure he was okay. And he was like saying that they were poisoning him and the whole thing, like, that whole sundowner stuff. But you're right, the regulations really, really played a part on people's health and mental health and families' mental health. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of depression as well that happened because of this healthcare stuff.
Well, just that general concept of isolation, to be
Quarantine.
Yeah. Well, what's I read a report or a study that said spending time alone, like without interacting with somebody for, say, 30 days is just as bad as smoking a pack of cigarettes, like for a whole day.
Yeah.
And
The
I
same
believe
effects on you,
Oh yeah.
on your body,
Yeah, that affects
Right.
with your mentals, definitely.
unless you're smoking something else.
Well, that can affect your mentals too, I'm sure.
I don't do
Well,
that,
I mean,
thank God. That's all I need.
Well, as usual,
I've had no problems.
we are over time. I have touched less than 50% of my notes, even though before the show I was talking about how unhappy I was and I was not very prepared for today's episode.
But you were. You did a great job.
Well, once we start talking, we're always fine. But I like to have about
I know.
125%, 150% more things to say than the time allotted. That is
So
even if
would
you
I
don't
have.
speak during the whole show. And so that's why I like to have way more than 200% material. But anyway, I do think Dre mentioned a good asshole of the week, and I think we should talk about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do.
yeah,
We have to have that.
And then other than that, I've got
Henry Ruggs, the
correct.
third.
And so
The third.
And so
Isn't
we'll
it the
explain.
third?
We'll explain why he's the asshole, and I'm not sure. Do you know the full details of what occurred?
Some of it, yeah, I know.
Some
Pretty
of it?
much. I know he was drunk driving and hit.
Mr. Ruggs used to be a professional football player, but I believe it was Monday night, Tuesday morning. I think it was like three something in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He drove his truck. I think it was 156 miles an hour down the Nevada highway. Ended up rear-ending a woman and killing her and her dog that were in the vehicle.
And the lady was completely stopped at like a stop sign.
she was stopped. I think it was a red light or
Yeah,
something.
red
but
light.
Yeah, he completely
ran her.
destroyed her vehicle, killed her and her dog. And in the state of Nevada, manslaughter is a 2 to 20 year prison sentence, depending upon
That's
what
all.
a judge or jury will decide. He's also facing other counts because I think he had a loaded weapon in the car. He was severely over the influence.
Oh yeah, and he had a paid escort in there too.
And so
He did.
He is facing up
Oh.
to, I think it's
Prostitute.
46 years. That's legal in Nevada,
Male or
so that's
female?
fine. But I believe he's facing up to 46 years of potential prison time should he be convicted, and he will be convicted of at least something because she's dead. And involuntary manslaughter you will serve prison time in that state. Despite what good lawyer he has, he's going to be facing some troubles. The Raiders actually dropped him off their squad
Well, they should
later that
have.
morning. So
Oh, yeah, they
he's
released
no
him.
longer an NFL football.
Well, the other thing
And he
is,
probably never will play football
close
again.
to home again. One of the quarterbacks of what was it? Dave Miller.
Yeah,
Jack Miller.
Jack Miller.
He's a quarterback for Ohio State. Got caught DUI. Nice Catholic boy from Brophy, one of the schools here. And he
What, from Brophy here in Phoenix?
Yeah, he's
I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, he's a quarterback.
Okay.
Jack Miller's Jack Miller, and his dad is the president of Fairmont.
Oh.
Michael works for him.
Okay.
So they're all upset that this wonderful quarterback of Ohio State got a DUI.
Him and Henry hanging
How
out together.
shame. Yeah, what
Well,
a shame.
Hey, birds of a feather.
I
right?
mean, this guy has such a career. Now this is kind of like really mark him. You know, it kind of bothers me.
This will mark him too.
Do you like that? Now
I
we
like
have
that.
a hero.
Do we have a hero?
Yeah,
Who's our hero?
he's sitting right here. He's
Fair
my
enough.
hero. The
Get-
reason he's
getting
my
Bill in?
hero is because I would have never made the decision to bring Bill here. I would have never made the decision to bring Bill here if it weren't for you. So you're my hero of the week.
Oh, well, thanks, Diann.
Everybody has a hero.
Well, back at you. You know, now that
Everybody
I've
has a
gotten
hero.
after learning.
Even the little woman that you met at the store yesterday paid for all of your equipment for your insulin syringes.
Oh yeah, she's a hero.
And he comes walking in here yesterday. He says, I can't believe this lady just paid for everything. And he said, I feel like I need to go out and do something. And I says, maybe you can pay it forward. I says, oh, come on, Dre. I said, she was paying it forward because of what you did for somebody. And that's what you did for me. So there you go. Everybody does
Everything
something for
comes full
somebody.
circle.
So you're my hero, my hero. So I guess we can end this. Anything else
I mean,
to say?
I forgot how
We'll
we
be
end the
back?
show because it's been so
Well,
long.
we always say at the very end, we'll usually put little Larry David in there.
Yeah, let's take the
Little
emotion out of the
carving.
commotion.
Yeah, and I always say, yeah, little Larry David. Okay, everybody, let's take that emotion out of the commotion with mediation and not litigation, and you better turn it off or we're going to get sued, Michael. Turn it
What?
off, 30 seconds.
Yeah, we're
That's
good.
it.
Good enough.
Perfect.
I don't know if that
Oh, we need
does
to
it.
get a picture of us. don't we?
We're still recording, but we don't have another show set up quite yet because the schedule here has been a little bit lack. But
Excuse me,
we'll
but we've
upload
had
this.
a lot of people that you didn't supposed to get to. We're all crazy because I'm blaming it all on COVID.
Yeah, but anyway, we will upload this. It'll be there for your viewing pleasure, and we'll be back next time whenever we get
Next
another
week.
location with more stuff to talk about. So for Diann, I'm Michael Irish. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.